to the Immigration Answer Show. Sorry I'm late. The waiting room was full before the show started and I couldn't get in. That seems like a screwy piece of software that the person who runs the show can't get in the waiting room. That seems silly. I thought I had some kind of special privileges, but I guess not. Hope you all are doing well. Now listen, this is the 399th episode of the Immigration Answer Show. I did a surprise pop-up show on Saturday afternoon, so that was fun. So that was 398. That makes this 399, which means tomorrow at 4 p.m. we'll do our 400th show. How about that? I don't know that we're going to do anything too special. It won't be too crazy. We are having a firm party next Monday, so we might do the show live from the party outside if it's not raining too hard. But I will be here for the next hour answering all of your questions. And before I do, thank you, Julie. I'm ready for it. I was emailing back and forth with someone who reached out over the weekend, and she had some questions about her situation. And I'm going to read you, without going into anything identifying, what she wanted to know. Okay, so she said, I hope your week's going well. I need your help with my unique or not so unique situation. How can I set up a virtual meeting with you? So we don't do virtual meetings, right? So we don't do consults, paid or unpaid. You know, if you want to ask a question, you come on the show. If you want to hire our law firm, then you call the office. We don't really do the whole consult things. The intake team, well, the way it works here is we have 3 awesome members of our CCD team, including our good friend Julie and Skyla and Mariana. We're very happy. They're the ones that talk to the people who reach out first. And then on our intake team, we have 2.5 full-time attorneys and a bunch of intake team members. I think we're up to 7 or 8. And they talk to all of our people, all the people that call or reach out, all the different ways that people reach out to us. And they figure out if the person might have a case. They tell them what the price is. And then and only then do they get to talk to the attorney. So the purpose of calling the office, the purpose of emailing the office is if you're interested in hiring. I would say that we have more free content out on the web than just about anybody else I know. And I don't know any other immigration attorneys that are doing 2 or 3 or 4 live shows a week. And that is us. So I don't say that to brag. I just say that to explain to everybody the difference between what we do here and what we do there. Of course, this isn't a consult either. This is just a public facing place where people can get their questions answered to general questions. So in any event, let me get to her questions. So where did they go? Oh, great. I lost them. Ha ha ha. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find them. Where did they go? Here we go. All right. So I thank you for your quick response. I'd greatly appreciate your advice on this matter. What is my best option if my F1 sponsor is no longer covering my expenses after 1 year in school? So I hate to say it, your best option if your F1 sponsor isn't paying for you to go to school anymore is to go back home. When you filed for your F1 and when you went to the embassy, you promised them that you had enough financial resources to pay for yourself for 2 or 4 or 6 years, whatever it was you were going to need to graduate. So if you don't have the money to keep going in school, you're better off leaving the United States, getting some more resources, and then trying to come back. If you're not going to have the resources to stay in school, then you're going to drop out of school and they're going to terminate your record and then you're going to be out of status. And from an immigration standpoint, you do not want to do that. So that's all I really have for that question, which is to go back home if you don't have the money to pay for school. What's your take on change of status from F1 to EB3 unskilled? This is a really bad idea. So the problem is it's going to take about 1.5 years or 2 years for you to get the employment-based green card process started and completed. You have to go through the perm process. You have to get the prevailing wage determination, and you have to stay in status all the time. If you don't have the money to go to school, you're not going to be able to support yourself and maintain your status while you're trying to change. Moreover, you promised and told the government that you were coming here to go to school. If you now turn around and apply for adjustment of status based on an I-140 for an unskilled worker or a skilled worker is a bad idea. So I think this plan is not going to work. And I would greatly encourage you not to try it. It's very, very difficult to change, if not impossible, from an F1 to an employment-based green card. All right. With that, we have, holy cow, 50 comments. The waiting room is full. Everybody watching, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what's going on with you. Yasher's here, but we're always happy to hear from Yasher, one of my all-time favorite clients, my man Yasher. Good to hear from you, buddy. My U.S. citizen client. Yasher's the best, and he's here in St. Louis, so that's great. Everybody else, let's try to keep the comments and the questions real fast today. We got a lot of people. We already got 173 people watching. We got tons and tons of comments. We got tons and tons of people watching. So let's try to knock them out. I've been having the first caller of the day talk for 20 minutes, and everyone's getting bent. And for everybody else, if the waiting room is full and you can't get in, please don't complain. No bitching in the comments. Mrs. Shan is here, and let's start with her. Hello, Mrs. Shan. You're on mute. There you go.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
So I have two sets of questions. So number one is that my sister, who actually used to live in New Jersey, applied for my siblings' visa, immigration process I-130 back in 2013, and then during COVID time, because of all the layoffs and other situations, she has moved to Florida from New Jersey. During COVID time, they have tried their best to update the address online, but for some reason, they thought it was updated, but it never went through. And we thought that we were in a waiting, just waiting for the approval. Last week, while checking the status online, we just got to know that everyone's immigration has been denied because USCIS apparently sent some documents through courier to her old address, which we have never received. Nobody had any clue about it. And it happened, and the decision was made that the whole case for my family was denied in 2021. Not received any documentation. So what can we do? I mean, I have been reading and looking at your videos for reappeal and or refile, but in theory it wasn't our mistake, and we were just wondering if there's any way we can just reopen the case.
What proof do you have that your sister updated her address with USCIS?
um I can ask her, but she has done like through portal, like online. And I don't know if there's any proof she has or not, but yeah.
Well, you get a receipt when you update your AR11 online, and you definitely get one on paper. So if she has the proof, then she should try to reopen the case. If she doesn't have the proof, that case is probably over. It's your burden to show. It's your burden to show that you made a good faith effort to change your address appropriately. If you didn't get it completed, if you don't have proof, I think that you're going to have to start over.
Okay, so if I start over, so now I am also the US citizen. So if I start over, can I reapply instead of her for my
Sure.
family?
Sure, you're both just starting over from scratch. So yes.
So there is no way this case we can find any proof.
Sorry, the squirrels are chewing on the wires again.
No
Was your
problem.
question? There's no way I can revive this case. I think
Yeah.
if you don't have proof that you tried to that you did not tried to that you did or she did in fact update her address, I think that case is over.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
All right, Carter's up next. Carter, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So me and my wife are filing for 130 and 485 together, and I had a question about the 485 in the new edition with the public charge section. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually spoke to a lawyer that said uh, that we were not subject to the public charge, and so we just kind of wanted to ask you, like, are we subject to the public charge?
So I have a really good um, viewer of this show. His name's Lewis. He's been on the show before. Many people have seen him. He also very kindly agreed to pay for our firm to represent somebody that he saw on the show. He's a great guy. He just sent me a long message reminding me that I'm wrong when I say that people should say no and that they should say yes. I will never concede that. I will never unless I see an opinion that I have to say that I have to say yes, I'm not going to do it. So this is what I'm going to continue to fight. If someone is gainfully employed, if someone has skills, I think the question, as Lewis points out in his email to me, is really poorly written, and I'm going to keep saying no to that question.
Okay, so she's not employed and she hasn't gotten her paperwork, so you're still putting no.
Does she have a college? Does she have a college degree? Does she have a work history? Does she have the ability to work in the United States once she gets her work card?
Yes, she does. She has her degree, but it's from back home.
Yeah. But the plan is, if and when she gets her work card, she's going to go to work, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Then my position is she's not subject to the public charge, and I'm not going to answer that question any other way.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye, Carter. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I actually do have a couple quick questions if you have the time. So on the relationship affidavits, we have 3 that are signed by our affidavits, but we kind of read that, do those need to be notarized? Like, is that required?
If you don't notarize your documents, like statements like that, USCIS is free to not consider them because they're not under oath.
Wonderful. Okay. Another quick one. When you're assembling your document packets, is it form, and then all the supporting documents, or is it form with the supporting document, the next form, supporting documents, and so on?
I've seen it both ways. I prefer to do all the forms at the top, sort of in what would you say, in level of importance. I don't know if that's even what I mean to say. What I mean is I would do I-130, 45, 765, 131, 864, and then go from there.
And then I have one more really quick one. So we have a 0 situation on the I-864 form. So whenever we're typing it in, I'm trying to remember what it says. So at the top, obviously I'm filing for my wife. And then in our household, I have to put.
Can I stop you, Carter?
Absolutely.
One of the great things about owning my own law firm is I don't have to fill out affidavits of support anymore. So I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay. That's fine.
All right.
Yep. We're good. We're good to go. Thank you so much.
Good luck, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Edith is here. Hello, Edith.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you too?
I'm great.
Okay. My question is this. I came into the country with F1. So I did my OPT I graduated last year and I did OPT. I have 2 kids who are F2. So I have my employers filed the green card for me. But the lawyer refused to include the children. She said, oh, they are going to be denied. She doesn't want any problem in my filing. But after much insistence, she said they have to go out of the country and come in. So when my children went out to Barbados, they were trapped there. The airline that took them refused to bring them in. So we had to do a lot of appeals through their school. And finally, the embassy there said they should reapply for F2. And my children applied for the F2 on their passport. They got the F2 and came back to the country. Unfortunately, when they came in, the lawyer said things have changed because of priority date. She can't even include the children again, even though my I-485 is being processed. I've got the work authorization and advanced parole. She says she cannot include them, that she has to wait for my priority date to become current, which is in November when they did the filing. The I-140 was approved in November. So right now, my children, they are almost running out of status. I've done so much consultation, but everybody seems not to know what to do about the case. And that, is it that I should go back to F1? Going back to F1, I don't have the money to pay again. Go to community college. Community college said they can't take me because I already have a bachelor's. So right now, I don't know what to do. And the 60 days grace period after OPT is about to expire. So I'm really stuck. It's really a very difficult situation for me. Thank you.
What's the job that you're going to get the I-140 was approved for?
It's a nursing job. I'm a registered nurse.
And And this, so a lawyer told you in writing that you couldn't include your children on the on the 485s.
Yes, she said it in writing because she said my children came in as B2 while I was on F1. So when they came in, they did change of status and USCIS gave them F2. She said she could not use the paper F2 except it was visible on their passport. She had the visa F2 on their passport, even though we had the change of status approval. So that was...
How old are your children?
Okay, one is 17, one is 15.
Have you looked at all into the possibility of getting them F1s of their own?
Oh, I looked into that, but the school fees, the private school is so expensive. I saw some 20,000, some more than that. I went to the school in the county where they attend, asked, they said they don't give F2, they don't give F1, that they are, they are the government schools, except I go to the private school.
Yeah, that's usually only I have heard, I've never done it or heard of it. I've never seen it, but I have heard of local school districts issuing F1s. There's a sort of a big hassle and hurdle, but I think this is a big mess. I don't see, other than that, other than you being able to, I mean, you got to pay for them to go to private school. That's really expensive. So I don't know what the solution is. It's a big mess.
And the children are on F2 right now. I don't know if that could also be exchanged for F1, even I was to get an I-20 for them. Can it be used?
Yeah. We've done that before for kids that aged out, got them their own F1s. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So that's the only alternative, to get them F1.
Or for them to leave, yeah, sadly. I mean, again, this is just you and me talking. I haven't looked at anything. I mean, we wouldn't, this isn't a case we would help with because we don't help with non-immigrant visas. But I think that you're in a tough situation. I think you need to explore the possibility that maybe that lawyer made a mistake. I'm not saying that they did, but they might have made a mistake. And you might want to talk to another immigration lawyer in the town in which you live.
I already consulted your law firm too. I made appointment. The intake specialist had me connected to another lawyer, to a lawyer in your firm, but the lawyer said it's really a tough situation, that he doesn't know how to go about it.
And this isn't a case we would get involved in because it's a non-immigrant visa.
Another question I have, Jim. Assuming I go back to F1, since the I-485 is being processed, is it going to negatively affect the processing of the green card?
What do you mean if you go back to F1? Aren't you still on F1 right now?
No, the F1, I'm just within the grace period of the 60 days grace period. Though I have work authorization to go back to work, but I didn't really want to go back to work yet because I feel really sad. My children are just thrown out in the cold.
So you're telling me that your I-20 expired and you're in the 60-day grace period after the I-20 for your OPT?
Yes, it's the grace period that we are in right now.
So I think the idea of trying to go from an F1 to an employment-based green card is, as I said to the caller before you, almost insane. Like, that's a bad plan. But what's really a bad plan is trying to change to an employment-based green card, EB3, based on an approved I-140, doing that and letting that be the only thing keeping you here. That was way too risky. You should have only done this if you kept your F1 valid and going back to school after OPT as part of the plan. I think this whole plan is really half-baked.
Oh.
That was a bad move.
Oh gosh. So going back to F1 doesn't affect the processing of the green card?
When
Does
you
it?
keep saying going back to F1, you mean finding another school, going back to school,
Yes,
getting a new
exactly, exactly. Going to do a master's degree. The community college, I was looking for a cheap school that I could go to. They said since I have a degree, except I choose something completely different from my line, that they can't admit me. So assuming I want to do a master's right now or even change my course entirely, does it affect the I-485?
When you say affect it, what do you mean affect it?
Will it be like, oh, they are trying to get an immigrant stay, the green card, and then you're going back to F1, the non-immigrant? I don't really know. I'm just confused.
I really wish you'd stop saying going back to, because you're still F1. You're not going back to F1.
Oh, why? I thought I was no longer F1. I have the 2 years work authorization and all the notices they sent to me that the green card was being processed.
Edith, I'm sorry to say, I'm just not feeling comfortable talking about this anymore because I just think it's a real mess, and I can't give you any advice on it because it's messed up 3 different ways.
Okay. So what was the last advice you give to me? I've been listening to the show. I've gone to approach the office. So please just say something, Jim. Tell me what to do. I'm going to do it. Or just give me a suggestion, even though I know it's an open air.
If you can't find a way to get the kids into F1, they need to go back home. And you need to stay in school in some smart way, I would say, up until they decide the 485. And that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Good luck, Edith. Yep, for sure. Ziad is here. Hello, Ziad. Can't hear you. Say something.
Jam?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hey, how are you?
Good. It's just it's very, very quiet. Your voice is very quiet. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me right now?
Mm-hmm.
So, I made a request. I talked to Emma, the life agents, about the status of my I-485, and they told me that it has been transferred to the field office, and the interview was waived. And today I received an email from the field office saying that my case is pending interview scheduling. So who should I believe?
Neither. You shouldn't believe anybody till you either get your interview notice or get your green card. That's it.
Okay. So none of them I shouldn't depend on both of them, right?
I don't believe anything until I either have my interview notice in hand or I have my green card in hand. Everything else is just BS, spin, confusion.
Okay. I have another question, but it is likely more like private. So is there anything I can do to just get your answer? But I don't want to.
You can email if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye, Ziad.
All right.
See you, bud. All right. That was Ziad. Kish is up next. Hello, Kish. Looking for that mute button.
Hey, hold on. Can you hear me?
I got you. Yep. Go for it.
Hey, Jim. So I just have 2 quick questions.
Go for it.
I'm married with my spouse, and I wanted to apply for. She has a green card, and I wanted to apply for food stamps. But they need the household, the income, and she thinks that will affect her status moving forward if her name is on that application. So I wanted to know if that's true or.
So you're a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
And did your spouse get their green card through you or somebody else?
Through me.
So when you hold on, I'm going to mute you because I'm getting feedback every time I talk. I hear it back. There we go. When you sponsored your spouse for a green card, you promised the federal government that you would be able to support them and that they would not need to rely on any kind of government assistance. And you also promised that if your spouse received government assistance and the government felt like it, they could come back on you to recover those funds. If your spouse already has their green card, it's unlikely that getting food stamps now would impact their ability to either get a 10-year green card or citizenship, because it's all about public charge up until you get the green card. So far, we haven't seen any enforcement against people who get food stamps after their green card. Not to say it couldn't happen. Certainly, if Trump gets back in office, or DeSantis or somebody, they could do it. So if you can avoid getting food stamps, you should. If your spouse does get food stamps, it's probably going to come back on you more than your spouse. And then the last thing is, nobody can say for sure that it won't screw up your spouse's benefits in the future. I don't think that they would, but it could.
I don't think that they would, but it could.
You're on mute, Kish.
Actually.
You're on mute, Kish.
On mute, Kish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. So it's not for her, it's for me. When I did apply for the green card, my income was above that range that you need to apply. But now I'm in school, and so my pay income has decreased. My income has decreased significantly. So yes, I understand that. Yes, we should avoid it regardless. Second quick question is, my spouse also answered no to the questions about being cited or detained by the law on her I-485, but didn't think of the fact that she had several speeding tickets in the past for less than $500. How can she correct this on her I-75 and N400 due in December?
I'm going to put you on mute again. Oh, it's on mute. Okay, good. So that's an interesting question. So, one of the big things that they look for on the fraud indicators is when people change their answers from one application to another. Now, I think there's somewhat of an argument that sometimes immigrants don't know that traffic tickets include citation, or the citations are really talking about traffic. If she didn't have a lawyer, if she didn't know the law, and if they were relatively minor traffic things, then what I would do is, when it comes time to do the 751 and the N400, is provide the proof of them and explain, I didn't know that these were citations that I needed to disclose. If they were like speeding or, just minor stuff, I don't think anyone's going to get too worked up about it. They're not going to think she lied, because even if she had told the truth, she still would have gotten her green card. So I think it's going to have to be a little bit explained and nuanced, and you can't just assume everything's cool. So when the time comes, she's probably going to need some help, but I think it should be okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jim. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
See you, Kish. Yep. Good luck with school.
Yep. Good luck with school.
All right. There's two Lolas here, so I don't know. I'll go to one. Let's see what happens. Lola, are you there?
Hi, Jim.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Is somebody named True Wisdom with you, or is that somebody else?
I don't know who that might be.
Okay, cool. It was weird. Both of you were moving in the same. It looked like I had two duplicates of the same person. So go ahead.
I won't take up much of your time. I spoke to you a month ago regarding my immigration case, where I came into the country as a minor, and my parents were given withholding of deportation, and I was as well. And you told me that if I leave the country, that would be considered self-deportation, which I understood. And what I forgot could be. Yeah. Okay. What I forgot to ask back then was if the 5 to 10 year re-entry ban would apply in my case.
It could.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of leaving, is you could make yourself subject to any one of a number of bars. So yes, that's why I don't want you to leave. It's not so much the act of leaving or even being able to come back. It's that you might have a bar on coming back.
Okay. And just the second question, then I'll be out of your face. My brother is a U.S. citizen, and he's considering filing an I-30 for me and sponsoring my green card application. So if I get the I-30 approved and then successfully file for motion to terminate removal proceedings, am I able to leave the country while waiting for my PR application? I mean, I know it takes forever for siblings in this case.
What country are you from?
From Zimbabwe.
So the filing of an I-130 petition by a brother does nothing to affect your immigration status. There's no, it's a nice thing to do, but is he also filing for your parents?
Yes, and my parents are pretty far along in their process.
Yeah, because they're U.S. citizens, or I'm sorry, they are the parents of U.S. citizens, which means they are immediate relatives. So I guess when all of you came, were you inspected? Like you came through customs, or you entered without inspection?
No, we came through customs.
Right. So, and what year was that your parents came?
99.
So if your brother's I-130 petitions are approved for your parents, they are both all their overstay, all these years, 24 years at that point, it's all forgiven.
Their application has been approved. Sorry.
Yeah. So now they can go and get the withholding. What their next step then would be to go to the immigration court and say, hey, we know we've got this old deportation order with a withholding of removal. Would you now, given the fact that we are the parents of U.S. citizens and have approved I-130s, would you DHS attorney be willing to reopen and set aside the deportation order and let us adjust with USCIS? These days with President Biden, they should say yes, but none of that stuff helps you.
Okay. See, my parents have done all that good stuff. So they've gone through the system and reopened and done appeals and done everything. So they're set.
Great.
So basically I'm pretty much just out of luck at this point is what you're saying.
As far as petitions filed by your brother. Now, if you married a U.S. citizen, then you're in the same position as your parents.
Okay.
As long as it's obviously, legit.
Right. No, it would be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate your time. You enjoy your day.
Bye, Lola. See ya. All right. We're at the half-hour mark. We're cruising on through today's show. Somebody said I'm tired. O said I'm tired. I don't think I'm tired. Maybe I'm tired, but I am going to see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny with my son Yusuf today when the show's over. So excited to see that. True Wisdom, what you got for me? It's not True Wisdom 1 or 2 or 3. It's True Wisdom 13. What do you say, True Wisdom 13? Hello? There you go. You're on mute. Hello? Can't hear old True Wisdom. I must be blind to. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Princess Lizzie's here. Hello, Princess Lizzie. How are you doing? True Wisdom, we'll come back to you. Princess, what's up? You're on mute.
Sorry. Hi, Uncle Jim. How are you
doing? I'm great.
I'm glad to see you enjoyed your break in the UK and Europe.
Oh my gosh.
well.
I had lunch with my sister today. I was telling her all about it, how much fun we had. My favorite part of all was walking and taking the train. I just love taking the train all over. I would get up in the morning, I'd walk for 5 or 6 or 7 miles, and then I'd either walk back or I would take the train back. It was it was fun. I think my son, who's about to be a freshman, he's seriously planning on doing a semester in London. He had so much fun, and really he just wants to go to soccer games. So
That's good. It's a good idea, especially when you're young, if you can go abroad for a little while. It's always a good idea.
how are you doing? You got a question for me? You're just saying hi.
Yes, I do. So I just wanted to get some clarity from you on preparation for an EB2 NIW interview that I've got coming up in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
In terms of what kind of I should prepare for, and yeah, any
So
tips?
the I-140 is approved, and you're going to consular process.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
tell me what the job is.
Accountant.
So the first thing you need to know, Lizzie, is that London's a little bit more sophisticated than a lot of other embassies, but for the most part, consular officials are used to more often dealing with family-based cases than employment-based cases. So most embassies, I would say, probably skew 90% family visa interviews versus 10% employment. London is probably a little bit more because there's a fair number of L1s and H-1Bs even, and then employment-based green cards. So that's one thing you need to understand. So I would say try to gauge as the interview progresses. It should be a pretty quick interview, but try to gauge as to how sophisticated the officer is and whether he or she knows what they're talking about when they're talking to you about the employment-based green card. Now, they have the power to revisit whether USCIS properly approved the I-140 and in fact the national interest waiver itself. So 99 times out of 100 they don't revisit it, but you need to be ready to be able to discuss it all intelligently. And I would say you need to be able to advocate for yourself and explain to them one last time why it is in the national interest of the United States for your NIW to have been granted and your I-140 to have been granted. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure.
So
That's fine. So I'm going to prepare. Oh, sorry.
Did you have a lawyer prepare the NIW or did you do it yourself?
It was all self-done.
Nice. Congratulations. You should be really proud of yourself. That's great. So
thank you.
What supporting evidence did you submit as to why the NIW should be approved and the overall the I-140?
So I added like all my certifications, my degree, various White House documents as well. So just maybe at a high level because of time, my NIW. Oh, yeah. So my NIW is to do with digital payments because I've worked with a lot of digital payments as an accountant, and I've linked it to the emerging critical technologies that are critical to the United States of America. And so that's why I've linked my NIW and how my work is in a national interest and research for future types of digital payments.
That's fantastic. I'm very proud of you. And the one thing I would say is the other issue and topic that might come up is what's your plan work-wise when you get to the United States? So I think you're going to need to be able to talk about that.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
All right. You gonna let me know how it goes?
Absolutely. Even if fingers crossed, when I do get it, I'll still be watching. So I'll definitely keep you updated. Thank you so much
Lizzie,
for your help.
You got it. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Oh, that's what we're all a big fan of Lizzie. Hopefully that goes well. Let's see if True's got her mic situation. True, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me now, Jim?
I got you. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I am great. Thanks for doing this. You're one of the rarest lawyers that do this, where you offer free advice to people.
It's not advice. It's general information for people who are
general information. Yes.
Not
but thank
not
you.
legal advice.
Thank you so much. Really quick question. So my daughter is the U.S. citizen. She's filing for my husband and I-130.
Great.
We just filed December 2022. I wanted to know how long is the actual process to actually get your green card. Now we are outside of the U.S. now. We're actually living in Mexico, but we are originally from the Bahamas. So what do you think a normal process time is? Because when I went in the portal, it said 6 months, 9 months, and then it went to 2 weeks, 1 week, and then it says your case is taking longer than normal, but you don't have to do anything at this point. Do you have any idea of what that whole process would take?
Okay, so True, that there's sort of two agencies that you're going to deal with. The first agency is USCIS, right, and the second is the State Department.
And
so, yeah. So most of my career as an immigration lawyer, the I-130 portion of things at USCIS has typically taken, I'd say, between 6 and 12 months.
6 to 12.
Now,
okay, so if we just filed December, that's not even now then.
Right. Now, well, 6, you're at 6. You're past 6. You're in that 6 to 12 month window. Now,
okay.
Now, they have gotten behind and they've been slower. And I've heard horror stories of people waiting 2 years or something for an I-130 petition, but those are sort of rare. Now, I will say that they published on their website that the processing times for the National Benefits Center for an I-130 are 50 months, 4 years and 2 months. Now, I haven't I haven't
Wow.
actually seen that, but that's what they posted. Now, I think if I were you, my best estimate would be, like I said, I'd say 9 to 15 months for the I-130, and then 3 or 4 months at the NVC. Now, here's the kicker. If you are a citizen of Bahamas, even if you're living in Mexico, I would encourage you that when you get to the National Visa Center to point this case towards Bahamas and not towards Mexico.
That's the second question I had. If it's quicker to do it in my home country.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't many embassies as backlogged. I mean, Juarez is in the top 5 or top 7 of slowest, just because there's so many people that want to come from Mexico. So I would encourage you, if you haven't listed your foreign address abroad as Bahamas on the I-130s, make sure that when your child begins, or you and your child, or your child and your lawyers begin working on the DS-260s, which is, you sort of refile everything, but this time in an electronic form, that you're pointing everything to a real address in the Bahamas, and make it real clear that you do not want to do this in Mexico. Mexico is like a visiting address.
Got it. Here's the other question to that then, since you answered that for me. So to go to the from Mexico to the Bahamas, you have to go through the United States. At least it's the quickest way to get to the Bahamas. There's no direct flight from Mexico to the Bahamas from where I am. Is that a problem, like getting connecting flights to the States, because we won't have anything to do, to go into the States? Is that a problem, or I have to find a route that bypasses the United States?
I don't know.
So they could deny us if we have a pending application of even getting a connecting flight to get to the Bahamas?
I believe that's true. I would avoid trying to come through the United States just so there's not an issue.
Okay, so I think the only other route then is maybe a Mexico, Canada, Bahamas. Canada has direct flights into the Bahamas, so I'll have to do it that way if I switch to.
Yeah, but I'm not saying for sure you would have a problem in the United States bouncing on your way to Bahamas, but I think you might.
It could be a problem. Okay, and then the final quick question was on the application. We have a house in the Bahamas. We have a house in the United States. We have our business in the United States because we were in the United States at one point. We just left 20-something years ago. So, what was the question? My question was, the house now sold. We sold the house, and now we don't have that address. When I went on the portal, it said you are at a point in your application where you cannot change the address. So what do I do to change the address, and what address should I put at that point? Should I put the Bahamas one, or this is for my daughter's application?
Well, so the daughter who's sponsoring you, is she in the United States or is she with you?
Yes. No, she's 22. She's in Florida. But she's now renting. We sold the house, so that house is sold, and now she's renting. So then we switched to her address, where she is now.
Yeah, that's fine.
The address the address we filed with sold. So now we're just praying that no mail is going there, but then the portal would not allow us to change to her address that she has now. It's saying at this point in your application, you cannot change your address. Like, I don't know if it's a point when you can, but right now we have no address in the system because that house has been sold.
So I would notify them in writing of whatever office is processing your cases, and get certified mail or Federal Express so you have proof of delivery. And then I'd be checking the online portal every other day.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do, and then try as soon as we get that you call it a D260. You said it's a D260.
You mean when you get to the national? When we
get to that point.
The DS-260,
DS-260 is where we should put the Bahamas address, so everything will be processed there. Okay, perfect.
And
Thank you so much, Jim.
I mean, you're going to have to get police certificates of everywhere you've lived since you turned 16, so that would include Mexico. But you want to definitely make it clear that you are, wanting this case to be in the Bahamas.
Okay, we still have our house there. Police records and all that is not a problem. My husband is a former detective there, so So that's not a problem. But I will definitely, thanks for that advice. We didn't know to do that. So
Have a
thank
great
you so
day.
much, Jim.
See you,
You too.
True. Bye. Not driving's up next. What up, not driving?
Assalamu alaikum, Jim. How are you?
Walaikum salam, buddy. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. Promise you I'm not driving. I have a unique situation kind of question. I got my green card 3 months ago, and I wanted to know if I were to apply for a flight school, I would have to go through TSA, get their approval first as a non-citizen, and then, well, that wouldn't be so hard, but if that were to go through, do you think that would affect my 751 or N400 in the future as a Muslim person with a long beard?
Let's see. So I don't know anything about what you have to do with TSA pre as a green card holder. I don't know anything about that. Do I think that you being a pilot would slow things down? Maybe. It depends which officer you get. I think you probably get some little extra security and scrutiny, but you'd probably get that if you were an accountant or a lawyer. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all I had. And thank you. I saw a video about my friend yesterday.
oh, great. Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thank you.
I'll talk to you. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
What?
Angela's been waiting for a while.
Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
So good. How are you? And I'm excited about seeing an Indiana Jones movie myself.
Nice.
But I have a question. So my fiance and I have got our approval letter from the USCIS. And we got an email stating that they did receive the petition from the USCIS in the NBC, but then we got another email contradicting that. So today I tried to get a hold of the USCIS to see if it was actually sent over, and they were unable to tell me. But how long does it, like, typically, on the typical, how long does it typically take for your approved petition to go to the NBC and then you to get your welcome letter?
For I-129F?
For yes.
Adela told me the other day. I'm going to mute you just because there's a lot of. Yeah, there you go. Adela told me the other day that it's almost 50-50 as to whether or not they actually pull off sending on the letter to the NBC, and so that things can start processing there. So she said what she usually does is gives them 4 to 6 weeks to get their act together, and if they don't, then she starts then we start bugging them every day until they do what we need them to do.
Okay, I had bugged them. It's been 6 weeks. So I had bugged them. I bugged them today, and they said they put in like a request to find out what is taking so long. Because like I said, the NBC, if you message the NBC on their research center, nbc.research.com or something like that, then they'll come back to you. And that's when I got an email stating that they received it. But like I said, I got contradicting answers. So I was like, okay, well, I need to know my next step. And I said, can I work further along, like to go to the next step without receiving my welcome letter? Like if you guys gave me the code, they said we can't do that. So you have to wait just like everybody else. So, but I wanted to see if there's a way to go preemptive.
I think you're doing everything you can. Just keep bugging them.
That's all I can do then. And then like usually, here's another question for you. So once he comes and we're married and stuff like that, on the I-797 form, it tells you your new spouse can file for I-485, I think, for permanent residency. So can he do that like right away, like after we get married?
Yes.
And then will he go back, or will he maybe get a stay while he's here?
He'll stay the whole time.
But I mean, could it possibly go past the 3 months with the I-485?
He can stay as long as it takes.
All right. Well, that answers my questions. And thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it.
Bye. Bye, Angela. See ya. Thanks for the
Oh,
call.
wait. I forgot. There is one more thing. Once you pay for your visa, because you have to pay for your visa and do your affidavit before you actually get your interview, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so once it goes over to the interview process, like it pretty much goes straight after you pay your visa, they'll set up an interview date. Is that how that works?
Depends on your definition of straight. It takes a while.
So according to the internet, it's like it says it could take up to 6 weeks. Could it be longer than that then?
Which embassy?
Ghana.
Been there?
Yeah, it can take longer.
Okay. And then once it does get there, then it usually doesn't take long after your interview if you are approved, correct?
And he says
So for that, I would say you should check all the chat boards and everybody going through it ahead of you and see what kind of turnaround time they're seeing, because every embassy is different.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Bye, Angela.
Bye.
Boomy's here. Hello, Boomy.
Hello, Jim. Thank you so much for taking this call.
course.
I highly appreciate you being online and giving advice. I would have a couple questions. I'm sorry, everyone else standing in the line after me, if I take your time.
It's okay.
Number one, I married my husband who was here in 2008 on F1 status, and he did not go to the country back and did not even finish his education for some family purposes. We met in 2021, decided to get married, and we had filed his I-130, 131, 485, and a couple other documents in
765.
Yes, employment authorization and all that stuff. So on April 15, 2022, got his EAD by end of the year, and we got his social and stuff. In February this year, we had an interview at Memphis, Tennessee, and we were told at that time that the officer is willing to approve and move the case forward, and we requested for advance parole. At that time, she provided us a stamp worth 2 months, and told us that within 4 to 6 weeks, he would have a conditional green card arriving to our home. And at that similar time, before a week of our interview, we had changed our home address. We were living somewhere else, and now we went somewhere else, like a couple blocks, not even like change a state or anything. So since then, we have been waiting. I tried calling USCIS, no answer, put in multiple inquiries. It seems like they're telling that they're doing some background check or some verifications, and that is the holdup. I also am working in some sort of immigration facility where I got connected with a senator, and I had talked to the person about my case. And after that day, there was a moment on his I-485, which says that there is a delay on the process, but we are working on it. That's what the new update is. And number one question is, how would I know where my husband's case is being filed and where they're working on? Number two, like, why is it taking this long?
It's still in Memphis.
Okay.
There's something that came up in the background check that they're worried about. Whenever you have someone in the United States for as long as he was out of status, I think the big inquiry then is whether he lied about working without authorization, or if he ever was claimed to be a U.S. citizen. Did they ask about any of those things?
So yes, they did ask that. He never claimed being a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. And as far as his working patterns, like his work was concerned, he never worked anywhere. He was living with his friend, who was like his best friend, in an apartment, and all the places where they moved. He was helping with cleaning households to the people who were living in the apartment, or helping them changing a tire, or cleaning something, or doing something, and making some package changes to survive himself.
And did he tell the officer that?
Yes, that is
Okay,
the thing
good.
that we have written in the petition, and also that was communicated while we were in the interview, because that question was asked.
Did they separate you at the interview?
No, they did not.
Were either of you married before?
No, it's our first marriage for both of us.
And is he of a similar ethnic background as you?
Yes, he's Indian as well.
Okay. And when was the actual interview?
The interview was on February 7th, 2023.
So the case has been pending for 15 months and the interview was 5 months ago.
Yes.
Have you called the USCIS number to ask?
Yes, the number that's on the websites, yes, we have tried, but nobody is ever coming to the phone. So the best answers that we have ever received are through the emails when we put in the inquiry.
Does your spouse have a common name or an uncommon name?
It's very common name.
Well, all I can say is that you've waited a long time, that if you sue them, I think they'll get working on it. There's something that's hanging the case up. They don't want to approve it, but they don't think they have enough to deny it. So what do they do when that happens? They just stick it up on the shelf and don't do anything, waiting to see what happens and what your move is.
Okay. So what should I do at this point? Because not that I don't want to lie to USCIS, like, telling them that somebody is sick or something is wrong or something is that and something is this. Like, he has not been to his home country for 15 years now.
Well, but he's not leaving until he gets his green card, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let him do that.
Well, so tell him that I'm reasonably confident. I just was talking to a U.S. attorney from the Western District of Tennessee today by email. I'm reasonably confident that if we filed a lawsuit in the federal court in the Western District of Tennessee, that you would get a decision in about 2 or 3 months. I don't think that it would be much longer than that. I don't think they're going to sit around. And so if he really wants to go, I can get you a decision. And you don't have to do it now. You can do it 2 months from now or 3 months from now, whenever you feel like it. We're here and ready. But otherwise, I think you're just waiting.
Okay. So there's nothing that we would be able to do on our end besides doing a lawsuit.
That's all I know that works.
Okay.
I like that field office in Memphis. I've sued them a lot. They work pretty quickly once we sue them. They're pretty easy to deal with. So whenever you're ready, just let us know.
Definitely. I'm coming running to you. You'll see the email from me.
Okay.
And
So just make sure to mention you were on the show, okay?
yes, I will. And a very last question. I have my brother who lives in Ohio, and he married a Indian citizen who currently lives in Canada. And she is there on student visa, maybe getting PR down the road in a year or two.
Okay.
What would be the best route for him to ask his wife, to come to States and live together?
They're already married?
Yes, they got married about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
And what passport does she have? Just Indian?
Yes, for right now, she has Indian passport with Canadian stamp.
So he has to file an I-130 for her and wait for her to come.
Okay, and that's the only route we have, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. That helps.
Thanks, Boomy. Have a good day.
You too.
See ya. All right. I'm going to go real quick. Nihan, do you have a quick question or a long question? I'm going to come to you. I hope you got a quick one. Nihan, go ahead.
Quick question. So I'm a F1 OPT STEM student. I got married with my wife October. She at the time in 2022 did not have any income, and I just got a request for evidence just recently, and one of those is IA-64. I am working as an engineer, way above the poverty guideline, and with her not having any income, would that affect, or can she use my income, or should I get a cosign from her mother as well, as in joint sponsor?
Would you rather get it decided quickly, or would you rather only be able to use you? Because if you want it done quickly, just find someone else. Trying to use you makes it 10 times harder, and it can add months and months to your case.
Okay, so it's preferably to use her mother as a joint sponsor than using myself, even though I'm working in the state. And
yeah, because they simply aren't set up to do the math to figure out whether you can sponsor yourself. It just, the law says you can do it, the forms say you can do it, but in our experience, the fastest thing is to do it with a different co-sponsor, with a co-sponsor.
With that being said, is it doable for both myself and her mom, or should it just be her mom?
Just be her mom if she makes enough.
Okay. Just one last question, quick.
Sure.
My current STEM OPT end July, pretty much this time, July next year. I have not filed for I-765 yet. Should I file for it with it being a year out? And
It's
right
free.
now,
It's
right
free.
now,
It's free. You should have done it before when you filed the 45 originally. So yes.
so do it. And if the case doesn't get processed past the date of my STEM OPT, can I stay after
Mhm.
while waiting for it?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, until the case is denied, I can still stay till that time.
You mean we're going to be optimistic? You mean until the case is approved?
Approved, right?
Right.
Unless the case is denied. All right.
It's not going to get denied.
Okay.
All right.
And that's all my question. Thank you for your
Thanks, man.
time. I
See you,
just
buddy.
want to.
Yep. We'll be back tomorrow, episode 400. Hey, listen, we got a negative 1-star review from some jerk today saying I'm very unprofessional. So if you guys could all go to reviewhackinglaw.com and say, Jim is very professional. If you could defend my honor and leave us a 5-star review, I'd greatly appreciate it. Hope you all have a great night. I hope Indiana Jones is fun for me and Yusuf. And we'll be back tomorrow with episode 400. Hard to believe, of the Immigration Answer Show. I'll be here with my good friend Huli, and maybe we'll have some people pop in. That would be fun. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.